Hey everybody, welcome back to the 815 Sports Podcast. Jake and I back here to talk about some Cubs baseball today. At the end of the episode, we'll touch a little bit on the Bulls off season. They lost to the Heat after the Heat ended the game on a 15-1 run. We'll also touch on Jalen Hurts and his record 5-year extension today that he signed with the Eagles. And so, talking about extensions, Jed Hoyer recently upped Ian Happ and Nico Horner. So Happ 3 years, $61 million extension, and Nico 3 year, 35. That keeps him with the team through at least 2026. So
yeah, I think these deals don't count for this year.
Yeah,
It'd be 3 years after this season.
Yeah, 24, 25, 26.
So that was a lot of people get confused about that, as do I.
So it's a pretty big deal because it means you have your middle infield. You got Horner, Swanson, and then out in the outfield you got Seiya and Happ. And it also
For a while.
in today's money in the MLB, it's not like huge money that they have wrapped up in these guys. And the Cubs. Some people are expecting the Cubs to be a sleeper for Ohtani.
I just feel like they're a superstar away. I don't even mean a superstar. Maybe just another really good player. But where are you going to slide him into?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, center field. Are you going to take Cody's spot?
Well, because Cody's on a 1-year deal, so you don't know what's going to go on.
Yeah, I feel like this was what am I trying to say? Like if Cody has a good year, maybe they sign him to longer. I feel like this was a trial and error year.
Yeah.
For Cody.
And he hasn't been a superstar yet in that but he's looked pretty well, and his strikeout numbers are down.
He struggled the first week of the season, and now the last 2 weeks he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, like I was going to say about his strikeouts, he's played in every game this year, and he has almost 60 at bats.
Cody has?
Yeah, and he only has 9 strikeouts, whereas Happ and Dansby each have at least 6 more strikeouts.
Dansby went on like a 2 or 3 game. I think, what game was it where he struck out all 5? Oh, it was Friday night when the Cubs unloaded on the Dodgers. Dansby, I think he struck out all 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
The whole game. But he made some terrific plays in the field. But that's unlike him.
I would say that early on, like the Cubs' top 3 carried him, and they still are carrying him. You got Horner, Swanson, Happ. And right now, Horner's batting .333. He's got the most hits on the team with 20. Dansby's got the best batting average on the team with .358, and he's got 19 hits. Horner's also got 8 stolen bases. And then Happ's batting .308 with 16 hits, 2 homers, and has drawn the most walks on the team with 11.
I think what I like about this team is, I guess recently they've hit the home run ball in L.A., but before L.A., they weren't needing home runs to score. They were putting the ball in play, and they were scoring runs the old-fashioned way. I know Nelson Velasquez had a grand slam that gave him the lead, but they just seem to be generating more offense. Like, I don't even think Horner and Swanson have a homer.
No, they don't.
So they're making contact and putting the ball in play and making you feel that. Yesterday, they tied the game with an Edwin Rios little tapper to the pitcher, and that's what tied it up at 1-1. And then they went on to win 3-2. But they've gotten pitching's been pretty good. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Besides,
they
got lucky.
They gave up 6 runs to LA in 3 games.
Yeah. Now the game against the Mariners, where they just put on a show scoring. That was a pretty poor pitch game, but you'll have that.
How good has Steele and Stroman been?
Really good. Smiley hasn't been terrible.
Smiley's been decent his last 2 starts. Yeah. Talion was really good Saturday, the game that the Cubs choked away to LA.
Yeah.
We need to see. It's ironic that we just said all those guys, and now the one that we need to see do good is going tonight. I don't even know how Hayden
Wesneski, he's playing tonight.
I'm try to pronounce
against. I think they got Mueller on the mound for Oakland, but Oakland's 3-13 in this season. They're 1-9 over their last 10. The Cubs are 8-6.
I'm not gonna look into the 3-13. I know they're bad, and I know if you follow Frank the Tank on Twitter, he calls them the Oakland ass. So, they're bad, but those are the teams that get you.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a team like the Cubs. Like the Mets, I think the Mets were projected to be good. Now the Cubs, nobody knew, right? They were a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
So just because the A's are bad, they got to go in there and they got to keep playing the same way.
Well, even though the Mets are getting, you follow Frank the Tank, so you see a lot of shit about the Mets, but they're 10-6. I mean, it's still really early on in the season. I mean, I wouldn't be. Us being
Frank's
in 2 games back of Milwaukee is. I mean, I'm happy with that right now.
And we still have a game that we need to make up.
Oh, so between them?
Yeah, no. Just they haven't had a rain out yet. We have. So I don't know. Maybe we could only be one up if we would have won it. So we're not. I mean, I just feel like they're right there, on the cusp of being really good. I don't see why they don't continue this. I mean, because you're not asked. It's not like Dansby and Happ are hitting, or it's not like Dansby and Horner have hit like 4 home runs each, right? So to ask them to just continue to keep putting the ball in play, I mean, why is that? I don't understand. I don't think it's that far fetched for them to continue to do that.
Yeah, they're getting on base a lot.
The home runs will come.
One thing I wanted to ask you after we talk about the extensions here.
How about them getting this done during the season?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
They don't do that.
Not very often. I was reading that Happ wasn't even expecting to get a deal done once he got moved on in the season. But one thing I wanted to ask you was, after having Suzuki and Happ, 2 outfielders, the Cubs have a lot of pretty good outfielders in the minors.
Oh, yeah.
So my question for you is, with these guys on the team for the next 3 to 4 years, do you think it will affect the Cubs calling up guys like Brennan Davis, Pete Crow-Armstrong, or their development, or even a guy in Alcantara at high A?
Well, I think that a lot of these guys are going to have to start being platoon, right? Being able to play different positions.
Yeah.
Because you do have Happ locked up now and left for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine you have Suzuki and Wright for.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what.
Does Brennan play center or just anywhere in the outfield?
I think Brennan can play anywhere. I even think he can. No, God, now I'm drawing a blank. But does Pete Crow-Armstrong play third?
Or he plays in the outfield, according to the article I read. Now that Mervis guy, what about him? You think he'll come up this year?
They're wanting him up now.
Positions he play first?
Know. See, I don't know where all these players are going to play.
Well, it's a good problem to have.
I know it's a good problem to have, but.
So I guess the last thing I'll ask you here is, do you think that the Cubs will be able to continue this all year? And do you think there's a chance they win the Central? Or you think they just sneak in the wild card?
Oh, I think there's a really good chance they win the Central. After the Cardinals are struggling, and the Cardinals are struggling because of their rotation, right? They haven't really been pitching really great. And the Brewers, to me, I don't think they continue the success they've had hitting-wise. Their pitching's always going to be there. But they've been scoring runs. I know yesterday they won 1-0, whatever, but recently, like when they swept the Mets at home, like they were averaging like 7 or 8 runs a game. I don't think that lineup continues that, but the rotation will continue that. So I think they're going to kind of be flirting with, 7 to 10 games over 500 the whole year, the Brewers will. And I think the Cubs can be right there. Maybe the Cardinals I don't know. They might have to find another pitcher, or their rotation might have to figure it out. I don't really see Pittsburgh continuing to be. I just don't see it. They got off to a good start, just as the Cubs did last year. Remember, we were talking about them. Well, because the Bulls won that playoff game, and then the Cubs were.
That was about the same time.
Yeah, this is kind of about the same time. But this year, I feel like they've added. I mean, you added Cody, you added Dansby. Seiya's got another year under his belt. You just signed Happ to an extension and Nico to an extension. So now these guys are going to want to prove it, right? I just feel like I don't see why they don't.
And then what do you think of Wisdom so far this year?
Oh, he's been great. I mean, he's got 6 home runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's one behind the leader. I mean, right now he's got to be – he might get asked to be in the home run derby.
Really?
Right? He's got 6. The leader's got 7.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see if that continues. I look forward to being on the bleachers this summer if he's hitting some bombs. Wear the hard hats.
I think he hits 30.
Yeah.
And how many did Bryant and Rizzo hit when they made it? God, that's going back too wild. I don't remember how many they had. I don't think they had more than 40.
Well, in 16, they each had at least 25 or 30.
Yeah, so I'm just saying it's a. I can't think of the word.
Do you think they'll win the series with the A's? You think they'll have a letdown?
I mean, you got your 5-1-2, right? So you got to think if the A's are going to get a game, it's going to be tonight, right? Because they're facing our 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they got to think. And then you got Stroman tomorrow, and then you got Steele on getaway day on Wednesday. I think the Cubs take 2 or 3. I don't know. I mean, they should sweep them, right? If they're going to win the Central, then they have to sweep this team. Let's be honest.
You got to win at least 2 or 3.
Or at worst 2 or 3. Because then you come home and you play 4 versus the Dodgers. You know that they're going to bring it again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sweep the A's, that relieves a little pressure. Maybe you could split with the Dodgers. I mean, if you take 3 or 4 from LA again, this team could be consider. I mean, Ben Verlander, is that his name on Twitter? I think it is. Who does the rankings? He has the Cubs ranked in his top 10 right now at 10. Someone else has him at 9. So.
And what do you think? I mean, you always are commenting about Ross. What are your thoughts on Ross?
I just feel they're not good enough to make the playoffs when they need to. They can't lose games that they should win. And what I mean by that is when the manager screws it up at the end because he doesn't leave. He doesn't take someone out.
Takes them out too early.
What game was it? It was the Cincinnati game that they lost. They had gotten a 6-4 lead. I think it was Smiley.
That was like that first game of the series, wasn't it?
Yeah, was it Smiley or was it Talion? Maybe it was Talion. But anyways, he left the starter in and he gave up 7 runs. And it was only 4 innings or 5 innings. He needed to be taken out. And I remember he got blasted for that on Twitter. Then what game was it? In LA. Well, it was the one they lost. Did he not let Keegan Thompson close the game out after going 1-2-3 in the 8th? I don't know because I didn't get to watch that whole game.
I didn't see any of the games this weekend. I was on vacation.
I just go off of what I see on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just 1 or 2 guys. There's tons of people, even people that have podcasts like us that are way more into it than us. They're saying the same things. He's making very questionable decisions. Starting that Master Boney, he was starting and I know he doesn't control the roster, right? It's I guess
he controls it, but he doesn't pick who's on the team.
Right. So Master Boney being on the team isn't Ross's control.
Mm-hmm.
Now if he plays him, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with Nelson Velasquez. Why in the hell was he sent down after what he just did in one game? But no, I think they're good enough to continue this. I mean, continue winning series. I still would like them to go out and get a pitcher. So they have.
Well, maybe they will do that at the deadline, depending on where they're at.
Right, but that you got to keep this up then, right?
Yeah, and maybe they will. Time will only tell.
You just have to be 500, right? Mm-hmm. That's all they have. That's all I've always heard my whole life. If you can be 500 at the All-Star break, you have a chance, and that makes management want to make moves to win. If you're 6 or 7 games under 500, you're fucked.
Yeah, I think they're entering a window here over the next couple of years, especially if they get a big name free agent or a big trade or something. But we'll see. So one other thing I want to touch on was, let's see here, Jalen Hurts and his big extension that he signed today.
Isn't that?
Well, I think it's hard to fathom, but I mean I guess it's really not in today's money and the way that things are. Every single time a quarterback gets extended or they sign a new contract, they're going to want to be the highest paid player. It seems to happen every time somebody gets extended that they're the highest paid player. But this is the first time that Philly's ever signed somebody with no trade clause in their franchise history. So he's getting paid the most per year of any quarterback all time.
I mean, he's almost making $50 million a year.
It was $51 million a year. So he got $110 guaranteed for putting pen to paper, which is the third most ever.
So then, what's the $179 guaranteed mean?
So he gets $110, but then he gets $179 guaranteed over the whole contract.
But it's worth that. So what is? I don't understand the incentives. How does he make 50? Is that if they make the playoffs? If he throws for 30 touchdowns, if he hits the 2,000,
he plays that many games.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, that's
If he
I
wins
guess
the
that's
Super
what
Bowl,
makes them want to play, right?
yeah.
And get out there. And if they're hurt, like they got to get. I don't know. But
the only quarterback who has more guarantees than him is Watson. The Browns gave him the fully guaranteed deal.
Yeah, his was more.
Well, it was 5 years, 230. Well, it was fully guaranteed, just of guaranteed
Holy
money.
fuck.
It was 230 million guaranteed.
I guess I didn't even think of that because I seen that he was. But anyways, this is something talking about this. I looked up when I first seen this at work today. So I was like, holy shit! I wonder what Dan Marino's highest contract ever was.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up. So in my lifetime, I was born in '97, right? So Dan Marino's highest paid contract came when he was 26, or in 1996. He signed it was a 5-year, $26 million deal.
So it was about $5 million annually.
Like that was only 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, and that was a lot of money back then.
Well, it still is a lot of money in my opinion. But I know what you mean now.
Dan Marino's highest paid contract. I just want to make sure I'm right.
But like last year, I mean, Hurts is 24 years old. He got runner-up to Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and the MVP. So I mean, I get why they want to pay him. He's a great person on and off the field, very humble. I'd want him leading my team. So I think it's a great job by Philly, and they had to do it. They had to do it.
So. Well, this says in 1991, he was the highest paid NFL player ever. He had a $3 million signing bonus and a total of $23 million guaranteed.
Yeah, a lot.
So that's incredible to where we've come. That he was the highest paid NFL player ever.
Mm-hmm.
And now look at.
But this will set the market coming up for guys like Herbert. I
don't necessarily know that it's good,
Tua, etc. Well, this contract is different because they had to sign this year because he was drafted in the second round. So his contract, they don't have the 5th-year option, whereas those guys drafted in the first round, like your Herbert, your Burrow, your Tuas, your Jordan Loves, they all went that same year. They have the 5th-year option.
I don't know that I want the. It's good. I'm gonna.
Well, I don't see Tua getting anything worth this.
Well,
in my
I'm
opinion,
gonna have to really see how he does this year. I mean, if he has if he's right there, if he's not in the MVP talk, but right under it, so like he's had a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's got to stay healthy. That's the main thing.
And how about the rumors swirling about Dalvin Cook?
What's that?
Him going to Miami.
Do you like Dalvin Cook? I mean, I think he's injury prone. I think he's on the back.
I mean, what running back isn't injury prone besides Derrick Henry? And even he sat out a couple games last year.
I don't know. Aaron Jones plays a lot.
But what I'm saying is, I just feel like a lot of players in the NFL are injured.
Well, I mean, yeah, you kind of have to
So, I mean,
but
you pick your poison. Like, are you going to go with the 5? Like, the Dolphins have 4 running backs. So, are you going to go with a 4 running back offense?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you get Dalvin Cook and then 2 or 3 of them don't make the team, and you go with the 2, like it's all. I don't know what they're gonna do, but he's only 27. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So like I don't. I mean, how many years is that? When did he get drafted? Do you remember?
Like 2017 or 2018.
So I mean, he's only played like 5 full seasons.
But you know what's crazy about that though is a guy like Todd Gurley, who's been out of the league since he was 26 and all the stuff he accomplished in the league before he was 26, and he hasn't been in the NFL since 2020.
Running back's hardest. I think it's hardest position in football.
So you're going to take the most brunt.
Yeah. But if they want to do a 3-year deal with him,
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. 3-year, $50 million. I don't know what it would be. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably front load that one because by that 3rd year, you might not. You might want to get rid of him. But last thing we're going to touch on today is the Bulls. So I came home. I was watching the rerun. I didn't know what happened to the game, but I guess the Bulls were pretty much leading most of the game. I could be wrong on that. But then the Heat ended the game on a 15-1 run.
Sick.
There was kind of a sickening ending to the Bulls season, but you didn't expect them to win the NBA Finals or anything. But it would have been nice to make the playoffs. I've never liked Miami. It was always a big rival, in the early 2010s when they had Wade, Bosh, and LeBron.
I mean, I think it went all the way to even. I mean, maybe no. That was Cleveland, right? In 15 when Rose hit that top key,
Yeah, that was
and
Cleveland.
then LeBron hit the corner. But yeah, they were a rival, and The Bulls are. I mean, they are what their record is, right? They're 500. Like
they're not going to be any better, in my opinion. They put the same roster out next year.
They were really good one night, and then they were the worst team in the league one night. So there's so much that can be talked about with this team. So
I guess here I'm going to pull this up real quick. We take a look at it. So Vucevic, he's going to be gone after this year. Well, as far as contract goes, let's see.
They signed
Kobe
him
White,
for a 4-year, $100 million.
Vuce? No. This is his deal he signed with the Magic, and we traded for him. So Patrick Beverley will be gone. Io will be gone. Javonte Green, and Kobe White, and that's all the different
let's
free
talk
agents.
about Kobe White. So I dogged him, right? A lot of Bulls fans were on him since we drafted him because he was too inconsistent. All he did was shoot threes. I tell you what, the last 2 months of this season, Kobe White was the second or third best player on the team. Kobe White was getting the rat. Kobe White earned his minutes. Kobe White almost could start. I tell you what, when the Bulls struggled to score, I mean, there were games maybe he could have started over AC or Pat Bev. And I that might sound crazy to some people, but when you can't score, Pat Beverley and Alex Caruso aren't scorers, right? What are they in there for?
Defense.
So when they're missing wide open threes and you're down 12 or 13, Kobe White really opened a lot of eyes. And that's very good for him.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks for the Bulls because I don't know that they're thinking he's a starting point guard. So, he's kind of in that middle. And you're going to hate to see him go somewhere else and drain a bunch of threes versus just like the fucking Max Strus did. He had 7 threes. He was on the Windy City Bulls a couple of years ago. And he got hurt. And and after he rehabbed, they got rid of him. And then look at. You literally lost to Max Strus.
So do you think okay, so you can bring a guy like Io back, guy like Kobe back, but either way, I don't think, well, it's pretty evident, it should be to everybody, that the nucleus of this team cannot win a title. And really, there's no point, in my opinion, to throw the same team back out there next year and expect a different result.
I don't think Vucevic is coming back.
Okay, so
you're already not. That's already not. Just him.
He is one of the better offensive centers in the league.
That. I know.
There's a lot of stats that prove that. Now, his defense is poor in some areas, but he's admitted to that, and he said that he tries to do the best he can, which I'm sure they all do. But, then you got a guy like Drummond who hardly ever plays, who can play some defense down there.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind Drummond back.
I would like Drummond back.
I would like Drummond back to get – I had no problem with Andre Drummond all year. Every time he came in the game.
I thought he should have gotten more minutes a lot. Well, okay, so here. So DeRozan's getting up there in age. Vucevic will be 33 next year.
I think
I say you blow it up. I say you blow it up now
and
try to get some assets. Well, they're going to try to trade for a different point guard or something. The reason I don't think
they're going to blow it up is because AK didn't come here to start over. And he even said, we're not blowing it up. Now, could he be lying to us? Absolutely. I mean, he might be. But he literally said in the after season when they do all their talking and then they're done for a couple months, he said this team lacked 3-point shooting.
There was no 3-point shooting on this team.
This team lacked it. Oh, it was terrible. Mm-hmm. Zach LaVine
was
the worst 3-point shooter.
They were the worst 3-point shooting team in the entire NBA.
They missed so many wide. I mean, honestly, Kobe White is the best 3-point shooter on that team. Now, when Zach LaVine's hot, sure, he is. But Alex Caruso's not.
Shot like 34% from 3.
I guess he just shot so many, yeah. But that was
not bad.
That was the problem with him, is when he fell in love with that. And that's when I would get upset. Like I didn't.
So
I never really thought Vooch was an awful player. I just thought when he fell in love with the 3 is when he really ticked Bulls fans off.
He was pretty good down there in the post too. He'd get you a double-double. And
he's unguardable.
I admire the
foot range.
Yeah. I admire the fact that he played 82 games this year.
Same with Patrick Williams.
Hell, actually, most of the Bulls played like their nucleus played, 70,
Yeah,
65
DeRozan
plus
and
games this year.
You knew they were playing. That's the one thing I like about this team. They were going to play every night.
So my question to you is then, if they
blowing
don't
it
blow
up.
it up, I don't know what you expect next year, because you're not going to be much better than a 6 through 10.
Well, what if
and
you
you're
go
not
get a
gonna
point
win
guard?
Okay, I'm sorry, but if you get Trae Young, your 3-point shooting could potentially go up, but your defense is still going to be lackluster.
So who do you get at point guard that's going to play defense?
Well, Lonzo Ball's done. I don't think he's ever going to be a big thing in the NBA.
I wouldn't mind Trae Young at all.
I would like Trae Young in a
point guard.
Bulls
I want a
uniform.
point guard who's going to score.
I would like him in a Bulls uniform.
Remember Derrick Rose wasn't the best defender either until he really got going. Then he got better.
Yeah. Another thing I don't think is actually going to happen, but a lot of people are saying that New Orleans should trade Zion. He is somebody else who can't stay on the floor, but when he is on the floor, he's one of the best players in the NBA.
That's why it's a tricky game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have to take chances, right?
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll never know.
Yeah.
You could just be in the middle like the Bulls are.
Mm-hmm.
If you think Levine and DeRozan are your core, fine. Go out and surround them with better players than you had this year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. If you want to bring back Pat Bev and Caruso, fine. Bench roll.
But you need a significant point guard.
They're not starting.
You need a point guard. And then last thing, Jake, I highly doubt this will happen, but the Bulls won a draft tiebreaker with the Thunder last night. So they sit 11th with an 8.5% chance to climb into a top 4 pick and a 1.8% chance to win the lottery. So if the pick falls outside of 1 through 4, it goes to Orlando. So there's very slim chance the Bulls could get a top 4 pick, and then we could maybe, if you get if you get the number 2 pick, you're going to have your point guard of the future.
Which is who?
Scoot Henderson, I believe his name is. And then he really would be a number 1 pick, they said, in any other draft. But that 7'6" guy, Victor Wem, I don't know how you say his last name.
Did Edie end up? Edie declared for the draft, right?
I think so, but he ain't going to be drafted the first round. Well, maybe he will be, but it ain't going to be his first pick. But
yeah. Well, another thing is college basketball is going to start amping up the next couple weeks with what is it?
Portal?
May 13th is it?
Was it the last day?
No, or what? Something was the Bulls would find out on May 13th. I seen or something what they have to pick.
Oh, it says May 16th. The lottery is.
Go. So, but yeah, and then with college they have a date, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I saw there's a lot of big name recruits backing out of National Letter of Intents. There's a guy at Duke that just did it.
See, I didn't see that.
A few other guys.
But like Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon Jr. come to mind, obviously, because that's our team, and they're going to get feedback. And I don't know if they like the feedback. Coleman, obviously, Coleman left his college eligibility because he said it in his, spiel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Terrence Shannon, I'm not sure. He didn't say that he didn't leave it open. He didn't say that he did. So I would think it's still open, right? Or he would have said, I'm not remaining my college eligibility. Like, I think Trace Jackson Davis said that for Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming back to college. Shannon didn't say that. So I think both of them, could come back if they wanted. I don't know if they will. I don't see why they wouldn't. They both love Underwood. They both said it. So, but college basketball in the next week or two is going to be nuts. So, maybe we can do an episode on that if some moves are made. If Illinois makes some moves and they come back, we'll definitely do one on their outlook. They've done okay. They got two under the radar guys, right? That a lot of people might not know about. But who tore us up last year the 3 times we played Penn State? Do you remember his name? Jalen Pickett, right? So do you know where he came from?
Nope.
How do you say it? Sienna.
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 So is that like a mid-major?
That's where he came from, and then obviously he tore it up on Penn State. So you don't know if you don't take a chance on guys.
Yeah.
And both of these guys were studs at SIU. They play in the what are they in the what conference? No, they're in the Missouri Valley, right? Southern Illinois.
Oh, they're coming from Southern Illinois.
Well, that one guy is what's his
I don't know what their names are, but I remember seeing a bunch of commitment things.
We will do in Illinois, and if he wants to throw in Oklahoma basketball, we'll do a college basketball kind of preview after the portal and after, shit like that when we know what the roster is. Because at this point, I mean, Matthew Meyer didn't come to Illinois till like June or July.
Mm-hmm.
So Illinois' team, sure, it looks kind of shady now, but I mean, you have no idea.
Yeah. That's about all I got for today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Play tonight at 8:40.
Yep. Congratulations to the winner of the bracket. Jake, you got that mailed out to him?
Yeah.
So we mailed out that. I think Gotch said he wants a shirt. If anybody else wants a shirt, reach out to us. It's better if you order, plenty of them at once. So
who's going to win the finals?
I
guess we should mention that.
Well, Giannis getting hurt throws a wrench in it.
How bad is that?
How bad is that?
How about yesterday's? There were 4 injuries in the whole day.
Ja got hurt.
Tyler Hero broke his hand. He's out.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with Giannis? How bad is he?
I'm not sure how bad he is. I think it's like a back spasm thing.
So he's probably not that bad. What about and then Ja, right? And then Anthony Davis got hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said he couldn't move his arm. I guess. Yeah, but you know what? He's injury prone. That's one guy I hope the Bulls. Okay, I shouldn't say be mad, but if they wanted to avoid him, I wouldn't be upset.
Let's see. We got the Sixers tonight and the Kings and Warriors. So I got
and let me just tell you this. The Warriors are still for real. That was a really good game.
Yeah, it was.
And Fox said how hard Curry is to guard. That they're really good. I could absolutely see them still winning.
The Warriors will win tonight.
Oh, well,
the Warriors will win tonight. Warriors will win tonight. I like the 76ers to win, but I would not be shocked at all if Brooklyn somehow won a game there. I just wouldn't be shocked.
In Philly?
I wouldn't be shocked, no.
I don't think Brooklyn backed into the playoffs because they had such a good record, and then they were falling apart towards the end.
Mm.
I think they get swept.
But I guess you asked me.
I got Warriors in 7.
You asked me my pick to win it all.
Yeah, who?
So I'll say my pick to get there. I'll tell you what, Denver looked awesome last night. Yeah, if the Clippers can get past the Suns and Paul George comes back, I like the Clippers, and I like the Bucks if they're healthy. But if Giannis is done, then I'm going to say the Celtics, and then I'll take the Clippers to beat the Celtics in the finals.
I kind of do like the Celtics to get over the Bucks this year because I just feel like the Bucks are very beatable. After watching them last night, and even with
they didn't have Giannis.
I know, but they did for the first quarter that Giannis was there.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like the Heat were faster, they were better. But you know what? How many games did the Bulls win Game 1 when they were back making the playoffs all those years?
A lot.
The Bulls would always win Game 1, always for like 4 years in a row, and then everyone's like, "Oh, the Bulls are going to win in 5." Fuck no, we lost in 6. So maybe that just is. Milwaukee was feeling them out.
Mm-hmm.
The Heat are for real. I mean, they're there every year.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the league, if not the best coach in the league.
Yeah.
But I do like the Celtics to come out of.
They also lost Hero though, so it'll be tough.
Yeah,
for
that
them.
is going to be tough.
Do you like the Celtics?
Yeah, but the West there's so many teams in the West. I really like Sacramento.
Yeah, I would love to see Sacramento make a run because
cool.
Their fans haven't seen it since I think it was like 03, 04 or something. So I like to see the teams that haven't done it yet.
And Phoenix looked really good coming back in the second half. I think the reason why Phoenix lost was because they were down so much, and it took too much to come back.
There was a lot of times they could have. I don't know how many times they got out hustled.
Well, how about
by the Clippers last night?
The last minute of the game, Phoenix gave up 4 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, Westbrook was down there. Kawhi Leonard, there's a few other guys down there getting offensive rebounds, and then Westbrook had a huge defensive play.
I'm taking Phoenix. They're down 0-1. I don't care. They're too good. There's no way that Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Ayton aren't going to get. Did
you watch any of the Nuggets game last night?
No, it was too late.
Well, Jamal Murray is his first time playing in the playoffs since the bubble, And I tell you what, he looked awesome
That
last
team's
night.
dangerous too. You got him.
Everybody they were bringing in, the guys off the bench were scoring at ease. I mean, that team is good.
That team's
They're going to kick the shit out of the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that's a 4-game sweep.
The trade they made for Rudy Gobert with like 6 first-round picks might be like one of the worst trades.
Well,
ever.
is he even playing?
Yeah, he is playing.
Oh, because remember that fiasco?
In what world does that make sense to have Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert in the paint? You lose your first-round picks for the next 6 years. I don't know. I don't get it. But it wasn't my trade to make. It was theirs. But that's all I got. We can go on and on. But
yeah, I got Suns, Celtics. I think Phoenix gets it done this year. I really do. They're down 0-1, but they could still win in 5.
Yeah, they could.
I mean,
they could.
They're not going to be down by 20 points again. I can tell you that. So, but LA's really good too. I could see this being a 7-game series.
Yeah, if they had Paul George, I think it. But Paul George, had that knee injury where he hyperextended his knee. So I totally understand not bringing him back till he's 100% because that was just disgusting to look at. So I get bringing him back the next time.
So we both got Celtics.
Yep, I got the Clippers though.
Who do you have beating the? So you got Clippers coming out of the West?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Nuggets and the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. But that's all. That's all I got for today.
We can even do a playoff. We can even do an NBA play after the first round. We can do a playoff one. We'll be talking about the Cubs a lot unless they just take a shit.
Yeah.
But anyways,
and we're gonna try to get back doing one video a week. Just with work and vacations and stuff hasn't worked out yet. So that's about all we got. Go Cubs! Everybody enjoy the game tonight, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Anything, Jake?
Nope.